For the next 30 days, I'm going to be doing a deep dive deck study into the Marielle Tarot, and I thought it would be fun to share with you guys my process, my journey, my thoughts, and just document how I do a deck study. How do I immerse myself in the artwork and the imagery and the emotions and the sensations of a tarot deck to deepen my intuition and to just become very familiar with the deck, so that when I read with it, my readings are very fluid and connected and have a lot of gravitas towards them. So the deck that I'm going to be choosing is the Marielle Tarot. This is a brand new deck in my collection. I've never read with it before, and it is a mass market deck. So if you want to join me on this deep dive, you can easily get this deck. It's very beautiful. The imagery is very deeply feminine, very archetypal, and I really wanted to just spend a whole month getting to know this deck, working through kind of the symbolism and the imagery. But for me, I don't like to do like deck study that feels like homework. For me, my practice focuses on integrating art with art. So the first thing that I like to do when I get a tarot deck is create a musical playlist inspired by the artwork and just the vibe, the initial vibe that I get from the deck. Now, I've made that playlist and I've posted it on Spotify and Apple Music, and I've linked it in the description below. So what I like to do is when I first get a brand new deck is I just turn on that music, that playlist, and I just start looking at the artwork. I relax, I let my mind quiet, I let the music kind of take me away, and I just sit in quiet contemplation, reflecting on the artwork and just feeling the sensations that come up for me. I don't study, I don't open the guidebook, I just sit with the artwork and listen to the music. And I find that when we're in this quiet contemplative state and we're listening to music and admiring artwork, it can just be so relaxing and so inspiring, and it really will kind of set the tone and the pace of the journey. So that's what I'm going to be doing first, is listening to that music and connecting and just vibing with the artwork. So if you're going to go on this journey with me, the playlist is linked below. The other forms of art that I like to pair and integrate with my tarot deck are books and movies. Now, this is really important to me because tarot is the language of storytelling. Tarot is a way to connect not just with ourselves, but the world around us. And through language and storytelling, through literature and film, is another way that we can experience the archetypes and tarot and really just get a feel for the cards in a different way. Now, I do personal readings, and I have a couple personal spreads that I'm going to be using in this deep dive journal experience, but I find it really more fun and interesting to pair it with a movie and a film as well. So I've got a couple suggestions here that I'm going to watch and read during the month. Now, the final way that I like to really enhance the senses when I'm studying a tarot deck is with fragrance. And there's two fragrances that I have today that I was gonna use. The first one is called Smudge, and the second one is called Poltergeist. And both of these come from Heretic Perfumes. And I'm trying to decide which one would be the best to, anoint my deck with. So Poltergeist is very dense, it's very tarry, it's kind of like a blend of forest bonfire with motor oil, like undertone. It's very dark, very mysterious. It's got herbaceous notes of wormwood, pine, and juniper. And I would say that Poltergeist is very primordial, very evocative, kind of dark feminine energy. I wouldn't personally wear this as a fragrance, but I am looking to anoint a tarot deck with. So how I like to anoint or pair fragrances with my decks is I will spray the inside of the box. And so every time I open the deck, I get that scent. I get that scent of like dark, deep pine, that musty, dark, you know, petrichor, patchouli, labdanum, Palo Santo. That's the kind of fragrances in here. I feel like Smudge is also a really good fragrance for this particular deck, but I'm gonna go with Poltergeist. It's a little bit darker, a little bit dirtier. So let's see. So I just really, I'm like really soaking the box here. Oh, it is dark. It is, the patchouli is really coming through, and it smells so earthy and I can't even, anyway, I got this as a, you know, a tester sample. That's really all you need to anoint your tarot deck. But wow, Poltergeist by Heretic Perfume is like a deep descent into the dark forest fire. It's more shadow work scent is how I would say that. So first thing I like to do is anoint my tarot deck with a fragrance, because I really love to get that sensation, that olfactory sensation when I open the deck. Okay, so now I'm going to be using the Poltergeist Perfume, and the book that I have ordered that just arrived in the mail today that I'm going to be reading in companion with this deck is Women Who Run with the Wolves. Now, I have wanted to read this book for a long time. My sister-in-law recommended it to me, and this is the myths and stories of the wild woman archetype. And to me, when I saw some of the imagery in the Marielle Tarot, she uses the wild woman archetype a lot. I mean, we see here women, the feminine journey, the wild woman here. We've got a wild woman on a horse. And I thought to myself, wow, wouldn't this be a great book to pair it with? Now, how I personally use tarot and literature, how I combine them together, is I will read a couple pages and I'll randomly pick a card and I'll use it as like a bookmark as I'm reading. And I will just, you know, look at the artwork as I'm reading. I will read the guidebook to see the meanings, and I'll read a couple pages and I'll see if I can connect the artwork on the card with whatever it is that I'm reading, or if there's similar parallels or themes or ideas or journeys in the book connected with the artwork on the card. It's kind of just like loose, it's non-structured, it's just a way to enjoy art as I'm reading a book. But on a deeper level, as I'm reading the book, I'm thinking about the major themes and ideas and artistic vision and connection with the Marielle Tarot and how it connects to this book, the archetypal wild women, women who run with the wolves. Now, let me just read you the back of this book as I'm showing you the cards. Within every woman, there lives a powerful force filled with good instincts, passionate creativity, and ageless knowing. She is the wild woman who represents the instinctual nature of women, but she is an endangered species. In the book, Women Who Run with the Wolves, Dr. Estes unfolds the rich intercultural myths, fairy tales, stories, mainly from her own family, in order to help women reconnect with the fierce, healthy, visionary attributes of our instinctual natures. So this is a book about describing the lexicon of the feminine psyche. And I thought, wow, what a perfect deck to pair with the Marielle Tarot. So over the next 3 weeks, the next month, I'm going to be reading this book and just meditating on the artwork and connecting this book with the artwork. Reading books is such a profound way to do a deep dive when you're wanting to connect on a deeper level with a tarot deck, because, and this is, you know, my modern critique, but we live in a world that's very fast-paced. It's all go, 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 go. And in order to develop a spiritual practice, you really need to slow down. You really need to sit with the emotions and the feelings and the imagery and the artwork. Developing your, psychic or your intuitive abilities is very much a slowness. It's a slow unraveling. It is being able to sit with the quiet and not have like the distractions on your phone, to be able to listen to your own thoughts in your own quietness, develop your own insights, listen to your own inner wisdom. And what I love about reading is reading kind of forces us into that slowness, into that ambiance of listening to our higher selves, our subconscious, our psyche. And it really encourages us to just disconnect from the outside world and simmer and sit with our imagination and our thoughts. So I highly recommend finding a book to connect with. Now, Women Who Run with the Wolves is the book that I'm going to be using, but I also have some other recommendations if you've already read that book or if you want a different book. The other books that made it on my list are, I'm going to be posting in the link below. There's some poetry on there. It's just a variety in case you want variety. Now, in addition to reading, I'm also going to be pairing it with some movies. Now, the first movie that came to mind, I've already seen this movie, but I love it. It came out in 2006. It's Pan's Labyrinth by Guillermo del Toro. It is a gorgeous movie, and the reason why it inspired me to connect with the Mariel Tarot is because of the imagery. It talks about the fool's journey as survival. Basically, the plot summary for Pan's Labyrinth is it follows this young girl named Ophelia, and she discovers this ancient labyrinth kingdom. In her imagination, she becomes this long-lost princess, but in reality, she's in a very harrowing place. She's in the middle of a war, and her dad is like the sadistic soldier, and she's in a very dark reality, and so she creates this very beautiful fantasy, and it mirrors a lot of the iconography that I see here in the Mariel Tarot. So there's Pan's Labyrinth as the movie that I'm going to be watching. Another movie that I think would be really good is another one by Guillermo del Toro. It's called The Shape of Water. And this is about a mute janitor. Her name is Eliza. She forms a profound emotional and physical bond with a creature. And I'm gonna just like leave it at that, but it's also very mythical, very mystic. It kind of explores the connections between what is human, what is worthy of consciousness or care or autonomy. So that is The Shape of Water. The other movie that I picked is called November, and I haven't seen this one before. This movie is about an Estonian village, and there is themes of like the devil and mythical creatures as well, and different folklores that are used to survive in this kind of barren land. And there's a young woman and a love triangle. There's a transformation, and amid the devil and the creatures and the love triangle, there's like this descent into darkness and transformation. So that seems like a really interesting movie. And then the last movie that I might watch if I have the time is called The Juniper Tree. This came out in the 1990s, and it's set in Iceland. It's starring Björk. It's a kind of retelling of the Grimm's fairy tale, and the reason why is because lots of this artwork in the Mariel Tarot reminds me of the Grimm fairy tales. And so in the movie The Juniper Tree, it's about these two sisters who seek refuge with a widower, and as their story unfolds, there's a combination of magic, jealousy, and grief that permeates the story. So it's about emotion, energy, gestures, very much about wielding power in a hostile world cloaked in shadow and symbolism, which is again the Mariel Tarot. So for the next 30 days, I will be exploring these movies and this book. I will also be developing some tarot spreads and just exploring on a deeper level how I learned to read with this book. The other thing that you're going to need if you're going to go on this journey with me is your own journal. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a notebook for you to write down your thoughts and your experience. I find that it's really great to just write down anything and anything that pops into your mind, anything and everything. Whether it's an artwork or the music that paired really well, or why you chose a specific fragrance to anoint your deck with, or your thoughts on the book that you're reading or the movie. Just having a journal, not only to write down your spreads, but as you go through the next 30 days with me, we're going to get deeper and deeper into our connection with the artwork in this deck. And it's really fun to just write down your thoughts. They don't have to be formal journal entries. They can be scribbles, bullet points, notes. It's whatever you want. But I find it really important because then at the end of our 30-day deep dive, it's really fun to sit back and kind of read in our own words a summary of our experience with the deck. So that is my plan for the next 30 days. I'm going to be posting all of the resources in the description below if you'd like to join me. And I'm just going to be posting videos as I go along. I'm going to start reading this book and listening to the music. We've already found our fragrance to pair with this deck, and I'll be doing the movie reviews and everything, and just kind of showing you my version of doing a deep dive deck study. And the reason why I think this is so important to show as a personal practice is because one of the things that I see a lot in the tarot community is mass commercialism. It's like, here's all the decks I have. Here's my top 10 decks. Here's my top 5 decks. Here's my top 20 decks. And it's like constantly rotating through purchasing decks. And the problem that I've noticed is that people will acquire a large collection, but then they don't know how to just sit with one deck, how to just sit in the stillness and the beauty and the imagery and the artwork of just one deck and immerse yourself in the world created by this artist. And you know, you can have a large tarot deck collection. I certainly have a large tarot deck collection, but I find that when I slow down and I just pick one deck and I really sit with it and I spend a whole month really immersing myself in the imagery and the tone and the essence of that deck, I find that it opens tarot in a whole new way for me. And then at the end of the month, and I'm like fluent in the deck, and now I can read it like with fluency and gravitas and deeply intuitive connections because I put in the work. I've put in the time to get to unravel the artwork and the deck itself. So I highly recommend, regardless of how big your, tarot deck collection is, to spend just a whole month not like doing readings. Like that's another thing is people think that the way that you're going to learn how to read tarot is just by doing readings all the time. And you certainly can. That's definitely one way of learning how to read tarot. But why limit yourself? Why limit yourself to just doing readings? There's so much more that tarot can do and unlock in you if you connect it with other forms of art like film and literature and music and fragrance. It kind of just opens a whole new experience, because when we approach tarot from a spiritual practice or, just as a peaceful exercise, we want to sit with our humanity. We want to sit with our emotions and our imaginations. And we can't do that if we're constantly in a state of consumption, if we're constantly consuming. So having the list and slowing ourselves down and journaling and working with one deck for the next 30 days will really deepen and enrich your experience as a tarot reader. And then when you do read with the tarot, you're going to have all of this knowledge and beauty to pull from, whether it be pulling from a book that you read, or the fragrance that you anointed your deck with, or a movie that you saw, or music that captured an essence or a feeling. You've now widened your palette so that when you do read with it, you have the language and the experience to connect with the archetypes and the artwork. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 30 days. And, you know, I will share with you guys my journey, and I'll also be posting it on my website. But if you would like to join me, this is the Mariel Tarot. It's a mass market deck. It's very easy to get. This is going to be the second edition. It's by Marie White. Here's the guidebook. It's a very lovely guidebook with a lot of information. And yeah, so I'm just going to be posting like random chatty videos with you and just sharing my journey. I hope you join me. Please do. And I hope this inspires you as well. Take care, everyone.